So today I want to talk to you about the dumbest mistakes I made my first year as an entrepreneur. And I was making a list of all the dumb mistakes I made. We could have done this episode for 6, 7, 8 hours, but we got to do a shorter episode because I'm only going to cover with you 12 of the dumbest mistakes I ever made as an entrepreneur. And I'll start off with my first one. Let me tell you what the first one is. The dumbest mistake I almost made my first year as an entrepreneur is I almost quit. I almost quit. I almost believed I couldn't do this. I almost believed being an entrepreneur wasn't for me. I almost believed that everyone that said, Pat, you don't have what it takes to be an entrepreneur, I almost believed it and I almost gave up. Almost. I almost quit my first year as an entrepreneur. That would have been above everything else the dumbest mistake I would have made as an entrepreneur. Number 2, I tried to become a CEO, president too early. And let me explain to you what I mean. Trying to organize too much too early. When you are a brand spanking new entrepreneur, I did a video last week. It was called A Phone Call to Starving Entrepreneurs. You can see the picture here. It's a phone call I made. It's like a 4-minute video. If you haven't listened to it, you click on the link on the bottom. You'll be able to listen to it. My message was very simple. See, when I think about the word entrepreneur, right? When I think about the word entrepreneur, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For instance, if I were to tell you right now, what's the first word that comes to mind when I say Microsoft? What do you think about? You may say Bill Gates. What's the first word that comes to mind when I say Apple? You may have said Steve Jobs. What's the first word that comes to mind when you think about the Lakers? You may have said Kobe. What's the first thing that comes to mind when I say Chicago Bulls? Michael Jordan. What's the first thing that comes to mind when I think about Golden State Warriors? Steph Curry. Whatever it is, that first word, what's the first thing that comes to mind when I say the word entrepreneur to you? What is it? What is it? I don't want to say mine yet. What's your first? First. See, to me, entrepreneur, first is sales and numbers. Now, you may have said create a problem, solve a problem, If you don't know how to sell and you don't look at the world of business as a number formula you got to solve, you're not, because the only way an entrepreneur is because entrepreneurs sell something. Zuckerberg sells, Bezos sells, Elon Musk sells. They are salesmen first. Sam Walton sold first. Ben Franklin was a salesman first. An entrepreneur must first learn how to graduate. Sales first. Back in the days when you moved up in a company, the way everybody came to the top of the company, it wasn't like how it is today when people go get a fancy degree and then they start off at a vice president. Back in the days when you worked up at a company, everybody started selling first. Why? Because you had to know what it was to be a salesperson, touching the customers, talking to the customers, and connecting with everybody else as an executive, that you know what the salespeople do on a daily basis. If you don't know what salespeople do on a daily basis, you don't know how to connect with them. And you don't know how to connect with the customer, his frustration, her frustration. So my biggest mistake first year was I tried to be too much of a business owner instead of learning how to sell first and survive based on my selling abilities of making money as a salesperson. Dumbest mistake I made was number 2 dumbest mistake I made. Number 3, trying to take advice from too many people. Let me tell you what I mean by trying to take advice from too many people. If you're not pregnant yet, or if you as a woman are not pregnant, have never been pregnant, or you haven't been a man with a wife who hasn't been pregnant yet, when that does happen, and if it has, you know exactly what I'm talking about, everybody wants to give you advice. Let me tell you what's the best thing to do. You want to have a natural baby. You want to do C-section. You want to do this. You want to take Pitocin. You want to do that. You want to go do this. You want to take the epidural. I want to do this because everyone's, and whatever they tell you, they're telling you because that's what they did. Just know this. And when you raise your kids, that's the best way to raise your kids. The way we raise our kids because we put them through this and we put them through that and we put them through this. That's great. Everyone has opinion. And by the way, this doesn't mean they're wrong. And it doesn't mean they're right. It's their opinion. The way I take opinion from the people is, here's what I had to do. I took way too much advice from way too many people. My first mentor was in 9 different sales companies at the same time, selling 9 different products. And he told me that's the way to do it. Multiple streams of income. I realized that's not the way to do it. Not the way to do it. It still is not working for him. That was my first mentor at 20 years old. 21 years old. I took trying to take advice from way, way too many people instead of simplify who has the life that you want to have and what are they doing at the phase that you were at in business. What were they doing at that phase? Sometimes we don't take the right type of advice because we see somebody that's already got the lifestyle that we want. They come at the office at 11 o'clock and they do this and we think we have to have that life. No, I want to know how you were when you were in the hunt building your business. So take advice from people who have the life that you have and ask them how they did and what they did when they were at your level getting started, not at their level. It's irrelevant what they're doing at their level. It's at your level. So take advice from established entrepreneurs. I took advice from too many people that gave me too many different opinions, and my brain was going all over the place until I finally realized this is what I'm doing myself. Number 4, not knowing how to ask for advice. Not knowing how to ask for advice. So sometimes, because you're an employee and you want to become an entrepreneur, an employee doesn't necessarily ask for advice. An employee is told what to do and you go do it. No one goes and says, so how do you think I become a better employee? Very few people ask, how do I become a better employee? How do I become better in my department? Most employees, I don't like this place, boom, I leave. Oh, I don't like this place, they don't take care of me, boom, I leave. Oh, I don't like this. Instead of, in my environment, I'm kind of like, you come tell me what we need to do. You come ask me what we need to do to get better. What do we need to do to make this department better? What do we need to do to make the company better? I want to hear from you. But most companies are not like that. Most companies, the employees are told what to do and they do it, right? So when you go from being an employee to an entrepreneur, your mind hasn't yet shifted to go into, asking for advice. And as an entrepreneur, when you go into becoming an entrepreneur, you got to learn how to ask advice from the right people. Kind of point number 3 and 4 is the same thing, but learning how to ask advice from the right people. How do I do this? When you were at my face, how did you do this? When you were new like me, what did you do? Not where you are now. I hear sometimes on some conference call, so, hey, you made $193,000 last month. What did you do this month? Anything they did this month means nothing to you. You got to ask them, when you were making $3,200 a month like I am today, and you were at this level when you only had 17 customers, what were you doing every single day? That's the right question on how to ask for advice. Them making 196 is the final product. That means nothing to you. What were you doing at this phase? If you want to sell yourself the dream and be excited, that's fine. I understand that. But if you want to know how-tos, you got to ask what they were doing when they were at your level. Point number 5, forcing versus influencing. I try to force too much. I force too much on my clients, on my staff members, on my sales force. My first year, oh my gosh, I was just way too much about forcing people to become successful, forcing people to realize why they made the decision to. It was just too much force, way too much force, instead of trying to influence. It's almost like trying to manage everyone's success instead of leading. And finally, I just said, you know what? This is putting way too much pressure on me than anybody else, because their success is predicated on me. If they don't succeed, then I said, you know what? I got to set an example of success, and then I'm going to lead and influence them with my example. That took weight off my shoulder, and they enjoyed my style of leadership because it was purely influential. It was more about example than it was about, you better do this, you better do that. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? It was more about, here's what I did. Here's what I'm doing. This is what's working for me. This is what I suggest. Here's what I request. I had to learn by a ton of mistakes on going from force to influence, from managing to just leading and setting an example. Point number 7, living the dream. Point number 6, living the dream too early. Living the dream too early. What does that mean, living the dream too early? When I started the business, I made some money, so I went and got a brand spanking new car, big car payment, was driving everybody around. I was going to the, out and buying drinks for everybody and partying, and hey, Pat's in the house, it's so cool, what up, Pat, and I was good in the party scene because I like that. So, oh my gosh, and so lifestyle big, going to Vegas, spending 10 grand on a weekend when I don't even have $10,000. It's okay. The money is coming on future success and future sales. Boom. Lost everything. Money, girl, car, everything. Gone. First year. Gone. Wiped out. Credit card score 484. Everyone's calling collecting debt. You're one. Okay? That's what happened when I try to live the dream too early. Way too early. Now, I think there's a mistake as well trying to delay it too long as well, because, people also want to see that you're expanding in your life too. There's got to be a part of that that's taking place, that you're expanding in your life too. But living the dream too early, trying to act as if way too early, I don't think that's a benefit either. Because at the end of the day, the number one rule of being in business is what? To stay in business. You got to make sure you're staying in business to be able to have a shot at growing your business. And living the dream too early, living too large too early can backfire on you. Next, number 7, trying to sell too many products as an entrepreneur. So I'll give you a story for myself. I remember when I first chose the financial industry. So I got started with Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, and I'm getting my Series 7, 66, 31, 26 life and health. I'm gonna go into the financial industry, okay? I got started day before 9/11. My first day in Morgan Stanley Dean Witter was a Monday, was 9/10. 9/10/2001 is the day before 9/11. And I got involved. It was probably the worst time to be involved in the financial industry. Market tanked about 1,000 points the next day. 9/11 happens. No one wants to buy stocks, mutual funds. No one wants to talk to an advisor. Market kept going lower and lower. Trust in the market was down. Fear, war, anxiety, panic. No one wanted to deal with anything, right? And I saw mortgages start climbing up. And that's when Negam, if you've seen the movie The Big Short, who's in The Big Short? The Big Short has who? It has... I want to say Ryan Gosling is in A Big Short. Who's the funny guy from The Office? What's the funny guy's name from The Office? Steve Carell? Steve Carell's in The Big Short. Actually, some pretty big shot actors on the Big Short. Christian Bale, Brad Pitt. Yeah. So, you know, the whole thing is about the Negam business. Mortgages, where pick a payment, negative amortization, whatever you want to call this program that came from Australia. There you have 4 payments. You can pay the 15-year loan, the 30-year loan, the interest only, or the negative amortization, which whatever payment you're making, your loan gets bigger and bigger every single month. So I buy this house. I know it's a $720,000 house, but you only need to make a payment of, you know, $1,920. And who knows, 5 years from now, it may go up. And then boom, it went up. But I was tempted to get into the mortgage world. And I saw all these people doing it. I made 28 grand, I made 200 grand, this guy made 400 grand, this guy made 600 grand last month, and he's doing this. Everybody in LA wanted to get into this. I was this tempted. Nothing wrong with the guys that did it. People who did it the right way made a lot of money, more power to them. But I had chosen the insurance and the financial industry. That's the industry I chose. And I was tempted this close. One weekend I came back and one guy was kicking my butt. This one guy was completely kicking one of my competitors was killing me. And I'd have to go and sit in the room and just watch this guy beating everybody up. Mortgage. And so I said, we also need to do mortgage. He's also doing escrow. He's also doing real estate. He's also doing this. He's also doing that. He's also doing title. He's got his money, all this other. We have to try to become like a bank, and we have to do property and casualty as well, and we have to do tax services as well, and we have to do. And I said, nope. Went back to the book, Blue Ocean Strategy. And Blue Ocean Strategy said, get leaner, get tighter, fewer products, focus on a product. That's what's going to work. And not having read that book, I read it afterwards, realizing by pure luck I made the right decision. But I was this close of selling many different products instead of being focused about a product. The challenge as an entrepreneur is when you choose an industry, there's going to be booms happen in a lot of different industries, whatever industry you're going to choose. And there's always an industry that seems more sexier. I wish I would have came out with the next Snapchat, the next Instagram, the next Facebook, the next Twitter. It just seems it's more sexy to come out with the Groupon or to come out with this, you know, I just wish I would have, our business is boring. You know, I wish I wasn't in this boring type of, it doesn't matter. I am going to more hedge my money towards the guy that's all in an industry to master that industry than I am with the guy that's constantly trying to chase the next big thing that's taking place. And I watch guys, they went from Negam, from mortgages into REO to short sale to real estate to, you know, commercial to modification to selling gold to debt settlement to credit repair to credit restoration to so many, 25 different things. And I kept telling everybody, sell one product, man. Sell one product, one product, one product. Can you do that? Sell one product. And I almost made that mistake, and it cost me my business on where I'm at. So don't try to sell too many products. Become focused and intentional on one product, one industry you're choosing. Number 8, thinking I knew it all. I mean, literally, when I got started, I was a young kid, just a knucklehead who thought he knew everything. You know, 21 years old. I would have been so annoyed coaching myself at that time because I thought I knew everything. And then the best thing that ever happened to me, is I hit rock bottom. By far, the best thing that ever happened to me is hitting rock bottom. I think for men, I have 2 boys, and I'm gonna be in pain when I witness these guys go through this. But I think the best thing that can happen to a man is a heartbreak, a very strong heartbreak, and a very big failure early on in business. And it happened to me early on in life, both heartbreak and business. It happened early on because I thought I knew it all. And it was a slap in the face to say, if Socrates says, the only thing I know is that I know nothing, if the greatest minds on their deathbed are saying things like that, what makes you and I think we know everything? Quite frankly, everything I'm saying on valuetainment may be inaccurate. Every single thing I'm saying on valuetainment, you may come back and my opinions may be wrong. It's worked for me. This is how it's worked for me. For me, it's more about teaching how to think than actually what to think. I want to get an entrepreneur to learn how to think than what to think. But we don't know everything. We got to learn how to adjust. We got to learn how to adapt. We got to learn how to get better. We got to learn how to improve. And so the mindset of thinking you know it all and all the concepts, it's not a place you want to be, because it means advancements doesn't come around the corner. And I had the know-it-all attitude at a young age, and it almost cost me. There's a benefit to that. There's a benefit because you become edgy, you push the envelope a little bit, but there's also the leveling off to know that maybe you don't really know this, and let me ask and question somebody I respect to give me proper direction that I trust, that maybe they can challenge my position and opinion, but it's good that I have the audacity, so I like it, the fact that there's audacity, that you're pushing the envelope, but there's gotta be coachability and learnability that you wanna learn and advance as well. It doesn't matter who you are, everyone's gotta have somebody that they have a mentor that's giving them direction with. So it was good that I got out of that pretty quickly. Point number 9, I partied way too hard. Way too hard. I mean, I have stories of how hard I partied. I like Thursday night because it was ladies' night. The best night was Thursday night. I mean, we used to go to, we had, this is back in the days, Dublin's. I don't know how many times I got kicked out of Dublin's. Man, Dublin's is now shut down, but Dublin's was just heavenly for me. I mean, we had a great time at Dublin's. We had a great time at Miyagi's, Saddle Ranch, all these other clubs that they had in Hollywood. I mean, you name it. We went through every single one of these things. We just party like crazy, and we'd go to Vegas, and Dre's is open till today, but back in the days, Dre's was the late, after hours, and we go all these other places, just party. So Thursday night, then Friday night, then Saturday night, then Sunday night. And then you're trying to get up in the morning and go work on Friday morning, and you came home at 3:30, and you go to work, and you're kind of like jet lagged, and from Vegas flight back or whatever it is, and you have no energy, and you're going to work. No, I'm gonna pull it off because I'm drinking 3 Red Bulls today. Nope, I wanna be focused. I did that for a couple of years, and then my friends will tell you from high school, I went from being the most ridiculous, crazy party guy that wanted to do all that stuff to the most boring guy that said, stop calling me, I don't want to party anymore. One incident took place one night at a nightclub at Highlands, which was a ugly fight that almost led to arrests and all this other stuff. And I said, don't call me anymore. I don't want to deal with this. The only way I'm going to party is I'm going to party going around the world and seeing the world. And I want to celebrate with some ridiculous celebrations in business and success in life. All this other party stuff, the drinks, the girls, it's so boring after a while, man. It's like the same old crap over and over again. There is no real life and substance behind it. I want the juice of life. I want a high that lasts till the day I die. I want to be naturally high. This is why I don't drink coffee. I don't drink Red Bull. I don't eat any of these energy stuff. I don't. I want the natural highs of life is what I'm seeking, what I'm looking for. But it almost cost me a business because I thought, well, listen, man, we watch these movies, Wolf of Wall Street and Boiler Room, and you got to go and party very hard because that's what these guys do in the movies. BS. If you want that life, you go get it. If you want the bigger real life, the real players, that's not how they party, man. They own the nightclub. They don't party with the people at the nightclub. They own the business. They own the products being sold. They don't go in there, mingle, and doing all that other stuff. And so it's all based on your standards on what you want to do. But I can't lie. I've been to hundreds of ladies' nights. I've been to a club many times. If you're my age and you're from California, we've probably partied at some of the same places together. Okay, all right. Let's not bring any memories, by the way. If you know me from the past, we don't need any comments on the bottom, okay? Number 10, acting like a boss instead of an employee. I made that mistake. Let me tell you what I mean. So I'm an entrepreneur now, man. I get to do whatever I want to do. I can come in whenever I want in my hours, and it's just nobody tells me what to do. I'm an entrepreneur. I come out 11 o'clock if I want to because I chose to be an entrepreneur. And you're going to fail. When a person goes from being an employee to an entrepreneur, they're missing one thing. They don't have a boss anymore, and they're not used to being a boss, and they don't make a good boss. If you were a boss, you'd be a boss in your past life, and you're not a good boss. That's why you were never a boss in your past life. If you're a boss, you're a boss. Okay, so when you become an entrepreneur, one thing's missing. You don't have somebody that's going to hold you accountable. You don't have somebody that's going to tell you what were you at 8 o'clock in the morning. You don't have that. You don't even like when somebody does that to you because no one's paying you hourly anymore. No one's paying you 20 bucks an hour, 15 bucks an hour, 30 bucks an hour, 40 bucks or whatever it is. So who's someone to tell you, what were you this morning? Nobody is. So that environment that you're going into, you're thinking to yourself, what the hell am I doing? You know, so if you don't hold yourself accountable or don't have somebody that's going to hold you accountable, a person, somebody that's directing you, challenging you, a running mate, a partner, many times you'll see that not working out. So for me, I went in, I wasn't a good boss to myself. It cost me my first year. And then eventually, obviously, self-motivated, you learn how to hold yourself accountable, all this other stuff, then the rest is history. But year one, I've seen many people not make it because of that. So point number 11 kind of follows that, is not having a schedule. Create a schedule and stick to it. And punish yourself if you don't. Like literally, I didn't have a schedule, it was just kind of like showing up. Create a schedule just like you have a job, except at a job you work 9 to 5. As an entrepreneur, you work 7 to 10, just so you know that. You don't go become an entrepreneur, work few hours. You go become an entrepreneur because you work twice as many hours, but then you own your own business and you control the time. Most people don't become entrepreneurs because they make more money. They want control and freedom and a lifestyle. And that lifestyle may take 3, 5, 10 years. It won't happen overnight. It won't happen overnight. So, but set a schedule and stick to it. And the last one I'll tell you is the value of a business plan. You know, I remember I got started early on, and I was on this meeting, and this one girl who had gotten involved in business, we had both become advisors right around the same time. She wrote a business plan, 60-page business plan. I'm gonna make this kind of money. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And I'm just scratching my head. I'm like, man, I have no idea how to even write a business plan. I don't even know what a business plan is. And there was not like internet to go and type in 7 points to writing a business plan. There was no online blogs, you know, on how to write a business plan. So I don't know how to write a business plan. What am I going to do on writing a business plan? So the value of a business plan is this much when you're year one of an entrepreneur. Your business plan should be actionable items and habits to learn and apply every day, such as, I'm going to make 250 calls today. I am going to give away 50 business cards today. I am going to network online and connect with 50 people on social media today. And what counts, so I'm not just going on newsfeed Facebook, I'm getting numbers and scheduling follow-up appointments. That's what counts. Habits, I'm gonna read an hour per day. I'm gonna study my trade an hour per day. The business plan is not, here's what I'm gonna hit quarter number 1, quarter number 2, quarter number 3. It's more, I'm gonna learn this skill set this month. Then I'm gonna learn this skill set this month. Then I'm gonna learn this skill set this month. Then I'm gonna learn this skill set this month. That's a business plan, not a 75-page business plan. A habit, skill set, discipline plan is really what's critical over all the other stuff. So, you know, very, very critical. Reading and putting that part of your plan on a daily basis is very important because you're improving your mindset, self-affirmation, you know, self-auto-suggestion, statements you're telling yourself, books you're reading on how to improve yourself, audio CDs you're listening to, things that get you going. Very, very important for doing that. And obviously, when you do that plan, it's eliminating certain relationships, certain associations, who you want new to be in your life. That's what the plan is. The plan is not a business plan that you have to write this intimidating business plan that a kid from USC with an MBA is going to teach you how to write and charging you $1,500. Nonsense. I've seen hundreds of kids coming out of big universities writing business plans as entrepreneurs who failed and are working at somebody right now for nothing. So writing a business plan, the value of it, year 1, not a lot. Year 3, year 5, year 10, more, because then you understand the cycles of the business, the seasons of the business. You know, you're more of a mature entrepreneur, ... And that's not the purpose of this video. Okay, so those are 12 of the dumbest mistakes I've made. I've made many more. Like to hear some of the dumb mistakes you've made. Comment on the bottom with some of the mistakes you've had. If you have any questions on what I said in this video, comment on the bottom. I do get back to the comments. It is increasing, but we do still get back at the comments that we are getting on Valuetainment. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. Subscribe on the bottom to the Valuetainment channel. And if, again, you're watching this video on a completely different website, please be sure to visit patrickbetdavid.com. Ilya, thank you. Thanks for watching. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.